the brother AJ. I'm going to come at you live with another one of those classic Prince Thoughtz. I'm going to take some time out to go through his career as we talk about some of his incredible double LPs that he released over the course of his career. I'd like to see him. Not at my normal studio location. I'm actually out at Niagara Falls, New York. Just went to see the wonderful, amazing, incredible Niagara Falls. Got a chance to jump on the Maid in the Mist and get that water in your face, feel the power and the fury of this place. And it was awe-inspiring. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it, how much I dug it. So it was a great change. And I said, you know what, while I'm out here, let me put together a Prince Thoughtz for you so I can take you on that journey and you can ride along with me. So let's talk about Prince was prolific across his career. Not only did he do incredible single albums, but he did a multitude of multi records in the sense of a double, triple, 4, 5 CD type projects. He was just so prolific, the music just kept flowing out of him. He had to get this stuff out, so this is what he did. So the very first one that he did was 1982, which was his 5th album. He dropped 1999. That was the record that broke him to the masses. He got that first MTV play with Little Red Corvette, Dance Music, Sex Romance. Those are the songs that blew up and really brought him to that international stage, if you will. Songs that I loved off that project were Delirious, All the Critics Love You in New York, International Lover. One of my favorite jams is a groove called Lady Cab Driver. This groove with the drum groove was just crazy. I loved it. In 1987, his 9th album, he dropped Sign of the Times. Sign of the Times just happens to be my favorite Prince record of all time. I just love the record, the themes he put on it. The title track alone was one of the first times that he spoke about all the ills of society, and he really broke it down, talked about drug addiction, gang situation, hunger, the rocket ship blowing up, talking about the Challenger. So he really had a lot of social themes on his mind in all the time that he was delivering this incredible music. In 1990, he released Graffiti Bridge. That was his 12th album. Graffiti Bridge, just as he did with Sign of the Times, had a movie that went along with it. But unlike Sign of the Times was a Prince at his highest. He was just killing it. He hit the stage. If you never saw Prince live, go find Sign of the Times and watch this performance, and you will truly get to see what Prince is like in concert. The songs are perfect, his performance is perfect, and he just killed it. When he got to Graffiti Bridge, people kind of considered that as a Purple Rain Part 2. And because the movie was uneven, a little choppy, the story wasn't that great story like it was in Purple Rain, in my opinion, the movie dragged the Graffiti Bridge soundtrack right off the charts. The Graffiti Bridge soundtrack was actually pretty good. It was a lot of collaborations that Prince did. He had The Time on there. They had several tracks. He had Mavis Staples. He had Tevin Campbell. He had George Clinton did a track. He had the gospel group The Steels singing a lot of background on there. So it was very well put together with some serious songs that if the movie was not a part of this project, the album would have stood out on its own. Minimum, it went at least platinum. I think it went multi-platinum, but the album was actually a pretty good album. Then, in 1996, Prince released Emancipation. Emancipation was a triple CD. And the cool thing about it was each CD had 10 songs, and each CD was 60 minutes long. So you got to have 180 minutes worth of Prince. And I like to say that on the first disc, it was that, that party vibe with the hard jams on there, with the R&B feel. The second disc was a little more spiritual, more reflective and introspective. Some great ballads across that second disc. And the third disc was a little more techno, a little EDM, a little more avant-garde with some of those outliers. So you got a chance to see Prince in all these different arenas doing that thing that he does at an incredibly high level. I also believe at that point he had been free of his contract from Warner Brothers, so now he was literally a solo artist able to do what he wanted to do on his own terms. And one of the things that he really wanted to do was put out volume after volume after volume of music. The record labels want to hold you back. They want you to put out a record, milk that record for a year, 2 years, and put your next record out, milk that record. And Prince was so prolific, he was putting out product left and right, it was killing him. So now he had the freedom to do it the way he wanted to. And if you don't believe me, 2 years later, after releasing a triple CD, he released what would turn out to be a 5 CD project. That project is called Crystal Ball. Crystal Ball was the combination of quite a few projects. It was the Crystal Ball itself. It was a record he called Dream Factory that he wanted to put out but never got around to. One of the songs is Dream Factory, as is there a song called Crystal Ball. And then he had a album he wanted to put out called Camille. When you hear Prince singing that high falsetto with the real fast when it's sped up so his voice is super high, that was a character he created called Camille, and he was going to take all those Camille tracks and put them on one record and release that record as Camille. So Crystal Ball is like an amalgamation of all of that. He took a little bit of all that stuff and put Crystal Ball together. So just as he did with Emancipation, the first 3 CDs, which you could buy as a package, were 3 discs, 10 songs each, and you got, again, 180 minutes worth of Prince to really understand him across these 3 CDs. Then he hit you with the uppercut. The 4th CD was called The Truth. It was mostly acoustic guitar and just his voice, and he had 12 songs on there, so you got a chance to hear him stripped down. Towards the end of his life, he did his microphone and a piano tour where he just came on stage with a piano and he sang and just took his hits and just stripped them down to the bare essence, as though he was sitting in a lounge, you know, at a bar or something, playing and singing to you. This is what the 4th CD, The Truth, was like. It was acoustic guitar and Prince's voice. So great, great tunes to hear Prince at like his rawest stage, where you can just hear just him, one instrument, and the songs. And then the 5th disc was called the Kama Sutra. And he recorded that for a ballet with his NPG orchestra, and it featured 11 orchestral pieces. And I believe eventually he was trying to get that released as a play, like a ballet, you know, an opera, so that folks could come and see it, and his music would be playing with like that symphony orchestra sound. So never got around to it. And the cool thing was, remember, Prince had a relationship with the ballet star Misty Copeland, the young black ballet star who was just amazing. She went on tour with him and danced on some of his concerts, and she's also in one of the videos that he did. I don't think it's one from this project, but one that she's in there doing her thing. So, hey, you know, you just never know. Then, in 2002, Prince released his One Night Alone. It was also a 3 CD project. The first disc was One Night Alone, and it just kind of reworked some of the songs that you've heard, but they were more like the live versions. On the disc 2, it was called One Night Alone Live, because it truly was the live. It was the band live doing it the way they do, and taking these songs and really stretching them out. And disc 3 was called One Night Alone, The After Show, It Ain't Over. Now, for those of you who are not hardcore fans, you may not know this, but as hardcore fans can tell you, one of Prince's greatest gifts was not just in the writing of these amazing songs, not just going on tour and delivering these songs to the masses, but after he would do a show. So I'm sitting here in Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, right down the street. Much respect to those folks that lost their lives in that senseless shooting at the Thoughtz supermarket. Just scares them. You don't know what the world is coming through. But at their performance venue they have up here, Prince would come out and he would do the big show, the lights, the glitz, the glam, put on the whole thing, 2 hours, rip the place down. Okay, thank you, good night. And you'd go home and you'd think that was it. Well, all of a sudden, you know, 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 3 o'clock, all of a sudden, Prince would be in some little club with the band stripped down, and they would do these after shows. There are after shows that have been bootlegged that are legendary. Stars would come out. Once the word got out, people would kill to get into these places. I never had the pleasure of seeing one of these after shows. I've only seen a couple on tape and heard some of the audio tracks from other ones. And at this point, he would just do whatever he wanted to do. He'd play his songs, he'd play cover songs, he might play guitar that night, he might just sing that night, he might play bass, he might play drums, whatever he felt like doing. You know, he'd bring other people out, you know, let's just say, you know, D'Angelo's out there, bring him up stage, have him come perform with him. It was crazy. So look for some of these clips and you'll be blown away. because it was just crazy. Then, in 2009, Prince released technically a double CD, but it was really released as a triple CD, and I'll tell you why. He released Lotus Flower, Minneapolis Sound, which is spelled MPL Sound, and then he released Elixir. All of those came out together in a package. Lotus Flower is one of my favorite Prince records because he taps into the rock side of Prince. A lot of the songs have this rock feel to them, rock sound, real guitar driven, just some good stuff across that project. Just love it. And then MPLS Sound is like he's telling you, you get to hear those themes that when he developed the Minneapolis Sound, with the synthesizers playing the horn lines, that incredible pounding drum beat that he used from the drum machine, kind of in-your-face type lyrics and stuff like that. Just a great compliment to Lotus Flower. So you get a little bit of Rocky Prince, then you get a little bit of the Minneapolis Prince. And then there was this record, Elixir, that came with it, and you put on, and all of a sudden you're waiting, and you hear this woman's voice. You're like, whoa, where's Prince? Well, at that time, Prince was dating this woman named Bria Valente, and of course he did a record for her. And I believe because it was released with Lotus Flower and Minneapolis Sound, it kind of got lost in the sauce. It's got a couple of good jams on it. It's not great by no stretch of the imagination, but there's one song I love called Home that is just a banger. I just truly love that song. She's got a great voice, it's not for lack of her, but you lumped her in with these two Prince projects. Wasn't nobody checking for her. Everybody was running to the Prince stuff. I wish he would have released those two records by themselves and then released hers as its own separate standalone project. But he didn't do that, and she probably suffered a little bit from that, but she can always say, I had a record written, produced by Prince, and was able to get it released, okay? Then, in 2014, Prince dropped two separate projects on the same day. He dropped Plectrum Electrum, which was Prince fronting an all-female power trio, and they were known as Third Eye Girl. It was the drummer, I think her name was Hannah Ford Jones. It was a guitar player, I think her name was Diana, and it was a bass player, Izzy. Those were the three girls in the band. And when Prince found them, he basically put together some material, and he basically was the front man in front of a power trio. And they were ripping it, because you stripped away all that extra glitz, no horns, no keys and all that stuff, just that classic power trio lineup with Prince as the front man. And one of the girls would sing some duets and lead a couple songs herself. What a great project. We had never seen Prince like this. Also at that time, Prince had stopped processing his hair. Now he had that nice little baby afro that he was rocking. So you could tell he was coming back to his natural roots, of where this thing started for him. And I loved it, okay? I thought it was just amazing. And then he released Artificial Age. Artificial Age was a Prince record. So he had a power trio, all-female power trio that he fronted, and then he had a Prince record released at the same time. And Artificial Age is a classic Prince record. It's all those things that you love about Prince, and just incredible. And one of the incredible things that he did do is he took a song, and that song is called Funk and Roll, and he put that song on both projects. When you hear it on Plectrum Electrum, it's done with the power trio, and you hear it stripped down with just the live instrumentation and all the things you can do in that setting. But on Artificial Age, he got the drum machine, he's got all those synthesized sounds, it's got that hip-hop groove kicking. That thing is lethal when you hear it, and when you compare the two, it's just amazing to hear how you can do a song live versus how you can do it electronic and still deliver incredible music. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you fall on, it's just how you deliver the music. And I just loved it. And that was 2014. The following year, 2015, he released another two CDs. It was Hit and Run Phase 1 and Hit and Run Phase 2. Now this is 2015, it's the year before Prince is going to die. This is the last project that Prince released commercially. And we had no idea that Prince was going to pass away. And when I first heard Hit and Run Phase 1, I had to stop. And you got to think that Prince's first record came out in 1978. And here in 2015, when you hear the jams on Hit and Run Phase 1, he's got a little bit of hip hop feel in it. He's all these influences across his life. Matter of fact, if you know the hip hop star Lizzo, she's in a group that does a song on this record. And look at her now here in 2022. That young lady's blowing up, right? And it just shows he had an eye for talent then, and he was able to constantly reinvent himself across the arc of his career. The average artist is lucky if they can do 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 if you're lucky. You know, this man, not only did he do like 40 years worth of music, but in those 40 years he was uber prolific. The average artist, you know, you look at an artist that had longevity, they might have 20, 25 records out. By himself, Prince put out there 40 records. This is incredible. And we ain't even talking about the stuff he got locked away in the vault that we still waiting to hear. That's probably another, 20 records of material ready to come out. So he was just super prolific. And in 2015, he dropped his Hit and Run Phase 1, and then he dropped Hit and Run Phase 2. If you remember when Freddie Gray was killed in Baltimore, Prince wrote a song called Baltimore and put it on his Phase 2 project. And not only did he do that, he went down to Baltimore to the Royal Farms Arena and he did a surprise benefit concert where he took all the proceeds from that concert and helped give it to black causes and Freddie Gray stuff to try to help, the give back to the community. Again, he was going, I said he got rid of the process, he was going to his afro, he's going back to his roots, getting back to that socially conscious artist that he could have been across his career. And just an amazing dude. I might have glossed over it when I spoke about Sign of the Times, but when you hear the Sign of the Times project from 1987, that song Sign of the Times is just it is a statement on what was going on in the world at that time. You had the gangs, you had the drug violence, the Challenger rocket had just blown up. We had children starving across the world as they continually do. And he wrapped that all in the theme of that song and really tapped into his social conscience effort. So by the time he got to his last record, he was still, it's kind of like he was coming full circle back around to that. So those are the projects that Prince literally put out across his career as double, triple, quadruple, 5 CDs.